A couple more people seated, then we can start here shortly. Well, good morning and welcome everyone to a joyous occasion as we celebrate our veterans here today from Barton County and surrounding communities. Big round of applause for them. As always, I get a little kind of choked up a bit. It's an honor to be in your presence each and every day, and we thank you for your service to our country. With that being said, before we get started, we do ask that you silence your electronic devices, and we thank you in advance for the respect displayed for our veterans at today's event. Now I would ask you that you please stand as the American Legion and the Legion Riders please advance the colors. Please stay standing at this time. We ask Jill Reimer, Stuco President, to step forward and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jill. Please remain standing. Please remain standing while the Great Bend High School a cappella choir, under the direction of Miss Susan Stanbaugh, now sings the Star Spangled Banner. Please be seated. Test. Here we go. Welcome to Veterans Day 2024. I'm honored to wave the flag, express my patriotism and pride in America, and say thank you to the men and women, past and present, who have served in our nation's military. Thus, it is on this annual occasion we recall the valor, bravery, and sacrifice of those who served to defend and to fight for this nation's freedom and liberty. Veterans Day is that special day of the year we gather to honor, salute, and pay respect to every patriotic man and woman who has ever worn the uniform of our armed forces. There are now 19 million living veterans nationwide. Hundreds of thousands of young men and women are serving in today's armed forces. All have faced the greatest test that can be applied to American citizenship, being willing to risk one's life to defend this country's freedom and liberties. Every person who has worn a military uniform and served with honor has passed this test of citizenship. Veterans Day provides an opportunity to pause and reflect on how blessed we are in the United States of America. We should take time to recall what that cost. Many have suffered the shock and pain of combat. Some have become disabled for life, while countless others have given the ultimate sacrifice. All who have served have given up some of the best years of their lives, and we ask, why did they do it? Simply because there was a job to be done, and they were the ones who called to do it. What was the result of their sacrifice? Simply this: America's freedoms and liberties remain ours to control. If we value anything more than freedom, we will lose our freedom. We may be certain about many things in America today, but one should have no reason to be uncertain about the respect and honor we owe to those who served in this nation's armed forces. Lastly, to those young Americans in uniform today, here and around the world, we say Godspeed and send out to you our prayers and sincere wishes for your safe return home. At this time, the a cappella choir will now sing God Bless the USA. Very beautiful. Thank you so much, Mrs. Stanbaugh and the a cappella choir. Okay, now the history of Veterans Day. At the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918, an armistice of temporary ending of hostilities was declared between Allied nations and Germany in World War I, then known as the Great War. Commemorated as Armistice Day beginning the following year, November 11th became a legal federal holiday in the United States of America in 1938. In the aftermath of World War II and the Korean War, Armistice Day became Veterans Day, a holiday dedicated to American veterans of all wars. Through the Treaty of Versailles was signed on June 1919, November 11th remained in the public imagination as the date that marked the end of the war to end all wars. In November 1919, President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day. The day's observation included parades, public gatherings, as well as a brief pause in business activities at 11 a.m. On November 11, 1921, an unidentified American soldier killed in World War I was buried at Arlington National Cemetery, which lies across the river from Washington, D.C. Arlington National Cemetery bears witness to America's history, pays tribute to our military, and recognizes the sacrifices made by our men and women in uniform. The tomb of the unknown soldier, guarded by military personnel 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, the U.S. Congress has designated that day a legal holiday in honor of all those who participated in the war. On the same day, unidentified soldiers were laid to rest at Westminster Abbey in London and at the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. On June 4, 1926, Congress passed a resolution that the recurring anniversary of November 11, 1918 should be commemorated with thanksgiving and prayer and exercises designed to perpetuate peace through goodwill and mutual understanding between nations, and that the President should issue an annual proclamation calling for the observance of Armistice Day. By that time, 27 state legislatures had made November 11th a legal holiday. An act approved May 3rd, 1938 made November 11th a legal federal holiday. Today, all 50 states have now followed that resolution by declaring the 11th of November a legal holiday. Veterans Day continues to be observed on November 11th, regardless of what day of the week on which it falls. The restoration of the observance of Veterans Days to November 11th not only preserves the historical significance of that date, but helps focus attention on the important purpose of Veterans Day, which is simply a celebration to honor America's veterans for their patriotism, love of country, and a willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good. Once again, veterans, we thank you for that service. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker. Our guest speaker is Jamie Hutchinson. Jamie is a 1992 Great Bend High School graduate. She was a nurse in the Air National Guard and retired as a lieutenant colonel. Please welcome Jamie Hutchinson.
Good morning, Great Bend High School. As he introduced me, I had that as my introduction, so I'll just repeat it again. I am retired Lieutenant Colonel Jamie Hutchinson, United States Air Force. I graduated from Great Bend High School in 1992, a long time ago before any of you were born. 2 of my 3 children have graduated from here, Blaine B. in 2018, and some of you may even know Ellie Hutchinson, who graduated in 2023. Our last son, Eli, was a blessing I got after retiring from the military, and he won't graduate until 2033. The military helped me travel the world, taught me many lessons, but most importantly brought my husband and I together. I imported Sean Hutchinson to Great Bend in 2003. We own Central Plains Security and Satellite Tours. He is also a county commissioner dedicated to keeping Barton County growing and improving, so you all want to come back here and raise your families after you go off to the military or to college or whatever it is your future may hold. On to why we are here today, to celebrate the veterans. Thank you. Thank you to all the veterans that are here, and thank you to Great Bend High School for the breakfast and teaching these students the importance of celebrating veterans and those that have went before them to make this country what it is today. I joined the Kansas Air National Guard as a senior in 1992. I needed to pay for college. As the youngest of 5, there was no college fund. There was not going to be any help. It paid off. I enlisted as an E1, an Airman Basic, the lowest rank as a medic. Went on to basic training in 1993, graduated as a registered nurse in 1996 from Barton Community College. Then the military offered me the opportunity to get my commission as an officer and to pay for my bachelor's degree. I went off to officers training school in 1998 and graduated from Newman University in 1999 with 0 college debt. Yes, I was born and raised in Great Bend, and I continue to live and raise my family here. Here in Great Bend, I was offered the privilege to help open the Cancer Center so people in this community with cancer can be treated close to home, less time on the road, more time at home. 21 years later, I still continue to be the radiation oncology manager and hope to never see any of you there. The Kansas Air National Guard allowed this to be home and still allowed me to travel the world. I was in Honduras when I learned I passed my nursing boards. I have been to Turkey, South Korea, and was in Italy serving with Wade Babcock. Some of you may know him as well, PA, as he was deciding to come to Great Bend and work in orthopedics. I was also the chief nurse at the hospital at Baghdad International Airport in Iraq. I have never been so proud to serve as I was then. I had trained for 15 years, 1 weekend a month, 2 to 3 weeks a year, to be able to do exactly what I was doing there. I saw things that I hope none of you have to see, and that will be with me forever. But I wouldn't change a thing. I dedicated 20 years of my life being willing to do whatever my country needed me to do. It created sacrifice for me and my family. My husband had to stay home with an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old while I went off to war. My husband allowed me to continue my career and left the Air National Guard after his commitment was done. It takes the support from family, friends, and community. You, young men and women, are the future. As a veteran and a community member, we will continue to pave the way. I personally know several young men from Great Bend High School currently serving, one of which that just graduated from K-State without any college debt. Every branch has its role. Air Force, Army, Marines, Navy, Coast Guard, and now Space Force. Every veteran has his or her own reason for serving. For me, it was one of the best decisions I have made. I have no regrets. God bless the USA. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie, for those words. At this time, we'd like to now recognize all the veterans in attendance. The band will play Salute to America's Finest. Veterans in attendance, please stand when the band plays your branch's theme song. Mr. Matthews. Army. Marine. Star. Marines. Air Force. At this time, we would like to now recognize any student or faculty member that has a relative that is currently serving in the military. If you do, please stand. Round of applause. At this time, we'll read a poem, the Flanders Field poem, and before that, we'll explain the origins of In Flanders Fields. During World War I, Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, Canadian soldier and physician, served as a frontline medical officer in Belgium. In the spring of 1915, McCrae was inspired to write In Flanders Fields after witnessing the devastation and loss of life on the battlefields of Prague, Belgium. The poem was written following the funeral of a close friend and fellow soldier, Lieutenant Alexis Helmer, who died in battle. The poem In Flanders Fields by John McCrae. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw, the torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. Now for the playing of taps. A few closing remarks. I'd like to thank everyone today in attendance for your respect and support of our veterans. I want to thank our social studies staff for putting this great event on. I want to thank Mr. Matthews, Ms. Stanbaugh, Ms. Maneth, Mrs. Pinkston, Mrs. Duval for their presence today. The Great Bend High School administration, custodial staff, American Legion Riders, and the VFW for making this assembly possible. And once again, I just want to thank you veterans for everything that you've done for our country. Very much appreciated. Okay, at this time I'd ask everybody to please stand, remain standing, while the American Legion and American Legion Riders retire the colors. This concludes our Veterans Day Assembly, and I would ask students, anybody in attendance, if you would, just a little thank you to these folks right over here. It goes a long way. So on the way out, say thank you for their service, and have a blessed day.